Hi there VC, it's Steve Whitty here. Another video, Sunday morning. I'm feeling a little bit tired. It was a long day yesterday. We had the VC meet up in Bristol, which I'm going to talk about in next week's video. If you hear background noise during the video, we're in the throes of Storm Kira at the moment, so it's a bit windy out there, so you might hear the wind blustering outside. Apologies for that. It's weather, and it's not much I can do. I can do about it. So I hope everyone's well. Everyone's had a good week. Let me have a quick slurp of tea. Better. I can face the world now. This video is part 2 of my January finds, so I've got a fair bit to show, and it's only when you do a stock take of what you've done you realise how much you spent. So oh well. But hey, you know, there's worse things to spend your money on. So going on, what else did I get in January? I haven't got too much of this band on vinyl now. Picked up a copy of Green, REM. I think this might have been the 6th album, I'm not sure. It certainly was the first album that they released on Warner. That left IRS. Pop Song 89, Stand, Orange Crush singles on here. Get Up on here. It's a really good album actually. It's sort of a step up from Documents, which I have on CD. And certainly, band was starting to push. I think the tour did take it out of them, though, because but by the time they finished the tour, the next 2 albums they put out, they didn't tour. So I think maybe the first big push, the bit of money they had behind them and the touring took it out of them. But this is a cracking album. Really pleased. Hopefully I'll find some more REM on vinyl this year. Now, talking really about aim to 2020, one of the things I've been guilty of is sort of ignoring what's new and what's coming out. So I sort of said to myself, I would get some newer stuff. And true to my word, I got myself Film Music, and this is their album Making a New World. Now, this was released on the 3rd of January. It probably was one of the first albums to come out this decade. And Film Music, best described sort of alternative elements of prog. This is actually a concept album, and it's about the after effects of World War One, the renewal and it had on the world. And it's quite interesting actually reading the notes in here. On here, whoop. Quickly show you the vinyl. It's a nice red vinyl. And it's quite an unusual topic, I suppose. It's, in a sense, it's very. I talked about public service broadcasting in my last video. It's very much like that. I think that this is a great cooking album. As I said, I learnt a few things from this. If you those who don't know, at the end of World War One, Germany, for their part in the war and their atrocities, had to pay a remuneration package, and I only made the last payment in 2010 to the US government. But it's really interesting. I suppose the standout track is Money is a Memory, which has been played on Six Music a lot. Yeah, well worth checking out. I know Rob Walker is a big fan. He's got a few of their albums on vinyl. Certainly worth checking out. And another album that came out this year, I brought was Wire's new album, Mindhive. This is excellent. This is released on their own Pink Black label. And I only really knew about it because I listened again to Six Music, an interview with Colin Newman. and that said they got a new album out. So I went on Amazon. It was on pre-order at a very good price, and so I got it and I've played it, streamed it as well on my commute to work. Yeah, really, another excellent album. It's worth. Well, really pleased with that. I did try to get to see him. They played the Hare and Hounds in Birmingham, but by the time I looked for tickets, they'd sold out. There you go. Charity shop finds. Found this, Motels. Careful, this is their second album. American sort of new wave band. Yeah, all right. Yeah, it's okay. I brought it because I remember the track "Days Are okay, but the nights were made for love." And it was the nearest they got to a hit single in the UK, so I remember that, and they performed on the old Grey Whistle test. That was pleasing. I'm glad I got it. Another album I picked up was Last Waltz by the band. Triple album. The last concert they performed at the Fillmore East, I think it was 1976, on Thanksgiving Day. It's the triple sort of like box set, and you've got the booklet as well in there. Yeah, I'm really pleased to find this. It was a good price. I think a lot of you have seen either The Last Waltz. The DVD was always forever out of a sale. But the people that appeared on it, as well as the band, you got Paul Butterfield, Eric Clapton, Neil Diamond, Bob Dylan, Emmylou Harris, Ronnie Hawkins, Dr. John, Joni Mitchell, Van Morrison, The Staples, Ringo Starr, Muddy Waters, Ron Wood, Neil Young. Certainly, it didn't come across as sort of like a sad goodbye, more of a celebration, and that's what it is. And when reading the booklet inside, well, I didn't realise that, of course, it was Thanksgiving Day. They did they paid for dinner for everybody. They did a big meal, so everyone had their Thanksgiving dinner before the concert. Yeah, really pleased to have found that. Dave Edmunds, Twinging. This is an upgrade. Now, this is one of those records I've upgraded because I've now got a copy with a cover. This came out in 1981 on Swan Song. This used to be the property of Stafford Libraries, public libraries. Hint. And I paid a little bit more than 40p for it, mine. It's got his version of Singing the Blues on it, and the races on, which he recorded with the Stray Cats. It's very much a sort of what Dave Edmunds does well, the old style rock and roll. So I'm very pleased to pick that up. And then next album, John Holt. This is Dusty Roads. Always pleased to find some reggae. This is not in bad nick. Reggae of this period tends to be, if you find it, tends to be pretty beat up. It came out, and I can't think when it came out. No dare. Not bad album. I wouldn't say it's up there with his best, but to find any John Holt, pleased to get that. And then next up, I found this. This is Lovin, Spoonful, hums of the Lovin Spoonful. You don't really find much apart from comps. While they'd have hit singles, Daydream being a big one that got to number 2. The albums, I don't think really, you very rarely see albums in the UK on the Kama Sutra label. There you go. There's the band on the back. Best known track, Summer in the City, which I believe did get to number 1 in the US. I think it might have been a minor hit in the UK. And it sort of emphasises what they were about. They took folk, bluegrass, a bit of rock. It described who they were at that time. Nothing really bad about it. I know they got into trouble when some road manager got busted, and they got busted and sort of implemented their road manager, something like that, and they got a lot of flack for it, and people were told to boycott their records. Next album is Pink Floyd's A Momentary Lapse of Reason. Yep. And this is the post Roger Waters album. Came out in '87. Learning to Fly was how I got into this album. I think people were pleased to have new product for Pink Floyd. However, obviously some people feel Roger Waters was really dead set against it. Really, only common factor in this album is that Dave Gilmour plays most of the song. It appears on all the songs. Nick Mason, he's credited as a member. It's only him and Nick Mason at this point, but it doesn't appear on all the drums and all the tracks. And Richard Wright is sort of like is credited as a guest musician. I think there was still some legal rumblings about having him in the band. I know it got very nasty between Gilmour and Waters over this. But yeah, it's not about album, and I suppose he carried on with the Division Bell, and then when you hear his studio, his solo albums, just sort of carried on the direction they wanted to go in. Not a bad album. I don't think he's up there with the best of Floyd, mind, but it's not a bad album. Another album I was really pleased to find, and this is Neil Young's Decade, which is triple album. Which it's an extensive best of. It's got some stuff from Mr. Soul from his Buffalo Springfield days, but it's it really I think it goes up to about 77. This 76, 77 goes up to where you've got Like a Hurricane, and it ends with Long May You Run, which is sort of an apt song. But if you haven't got any Neil Young, this is as good a place to dip your toe in, because it's pretty much really the best that you'll need. You can then gradually just weed yourself into the albums, but yeah, really good. Really pleased to have that. That's excellent. An artist that I really do admire, and I am pleased to have found a copy of record, is Steve Earle and the Dukes. This is Exit Zero. This came out in 1987. Very much sort of country rock at that time. San Antonio Girl, it was a great song. Rain Came Down. I admire Steve Earle. He's been upfront about all these issues, but I think he's one of these artists that speaks. He's taken on like a mental Johnny Cash speaks for the downtrodden, and yeah, I was really pleased to get that. It's worth checking out, Steve Earle. Now, I've just realised there's one album I want to show you that I still haven't taken out. Just bear with me. There you go. I've still got others to show, but at this point I wanted to show you this. This is Kiki Dee's, and this is her Lovin' and Free album, her debut album for Rocket Records. Born Pauline Matthews. Kiki Dee had been on the circuit for years. In fact, she was the first female UK artist to sign for Motown and not get anywhere. But she came to the attention of Elton John, and they became friends. And this is sort of like payback. Elton John co-produced this album with Carl Franks. It does contain her first big hit single, Amorose, but it got a mixture of Kiki Dee songs and some Elton John, Bernie Taupin songs. It does a great cover of Freeze Travelling in Style. There's Jackson Brown's song for Adam on there as well, and a Steelers Wheel song. You put something better inside me. Really, it's a good album. She's underrated in my opinion, voice, because she gets, she did had a hit single with "I Got the Music in Me" and "Star," and obviously "Don't Go Breaking My Heart" sort of shows off her career. But there's more to her than that. She's still going around gigging. I think a friend of work saw her not so long, a couple of years ago. So worth checking out, Kiki Dee. I was glad I got that. Where are we? There we go. Tell that there's no edits on this. But finally pleased to get hold of this, Bob Marley and the Wailers, Uprising, from 1980, the last album released while he was alive. And Coming In From the Cold, Could You Be Loved, which is the hit single, and then the redemption song at the end. I mean, probably at the time, who knew how ill he was when he recorded that. And in a sense, the cover sort of, there's this sort of symbiotic on the cover, opening his hands out in a way, reaching out for heaven, and then you see the uprising, the blood there. It's a great album. I was really pleased to find that. Next, Joni Mitchell, For the Roses, from 1972. This is a German reissue. You can't go wrong with Joni Mitchell. That period is the follow up to Blue, but that period, say in the 70s, she was masterful. She could not do anything wrong, in a lot of people's opinion, and yeah, it's great album there. Right, let's take a slurp. Oh, throat's starting to dry up. Now, I get notifications from, it's a company called SDE. They do notifications when stuff comes out that's coming out to be released, say it's been released, and you can pre-order it, and click on the link that takes you to Amazon to pre-order, or get the best price, whether it be Amazon UK, Amazon Germany, Amazon whatever. I tend not to use it, but it's interesting to have a look at, more to keep an eye on what's coming out. However, a couple of weeks ago, I did get a link saying that there's this album, well, I'll show you the album, Cardigans, Gran Turismo. This was on offer for $11.99, and normally I pick these emails up a bit too late. I clicked on it, and yes, it was still there on offer for $11.99. So I thought $11.99 for a 2019 reissue, no brainer. So I ordered it. I've got this on CD somewhere, but really good album. It's probably my favourite Cardigans album, actually. It's a little bit darker than the early stuff, which can be could be considered as a bit lightweight. Things like Erase and Rewind, Hanging Around. My favourite game, the lead single. The video got banned. It was, but it's hard to believe this is over 20 years old now. But this is corking album. So please, it's worth checking out sometimes. You can get some half decent deals on Amazon. Deep Purple in Concert, which was double live album of the Mark II lineup. This was released late 1980. This sort of like cashed in a little bit. Earlier in the year, they'd done a comp called Deepest Purple, which got to #1 in the UK album charts, and I think the EMI Strike Harvest, which is released on the Harvest label, thought, I think, well, there might still be a demand, so they put this out. You've got here Speaking, Ring That Neck, Child in Time, Mandrake Roots, Highway Star, Strange Kind of Woman, Lazy, Never Before, Space Trucking, Lucille. And I suppose it harks back to a time where bands could sort of noodle out, I suppose, where now I don't think live the public would take an 18-minute and at concert where you've got an 18.5-minute song, 10-minute song, a 17-minute song, and a 22-minute song. I think they want the hits. now, but it's interesting product of its time. I can't think when it was recorded. Could be the doing Mandrake route, and in that it must have been early into their career. Another band that I'm particularly fond of is Family. I managed to get a copy of Bandstand. It's not an original pressing. The original album was sort of like shaped of. This is an old Bush television, which was very popular in UK homes in the 50s and early 60s. You got the band in there, that's sort of the back of it. Released in 1972, the penultimate album. It's got the hit Burlesque on it, and this shows the band going a bit more in a sort of straight rock direction. They were trying to be a bit more commercial. John Wetton was playing bass in the band at the time, and yes, that's what you find. It's a bit different if you compare it to the other Family albums. It's not as progressive, but it's still a good album. Almost there, almost done. Yeah. Found this Tufa. It's the two originals of Little Feat, and the two albums are the first two albums. So you've got Little Feat, the self-titled debut, and you've got Dixie Chicken. I find that I do like two for one albums, and I have said before I think record companies missing a trick here, because they could do that. I don't really want reissues with all the gubbins that is put on CDs. It weren't good enough to come out originally. It ain't good enough to come out now. So I'm pleased to find that. Yeah, this is another charity shop find. This is Shakespeare Sisters, Hormonally Yours. Came out 1991. The second album. Contains the number one single, Stay. My favourite track on here is Goodbye Cruel World, but you've got Hello, Turn on the Radio. I Don't Care was another hit single for them. However, Shakespeare Sister was Siobhan Farley and Marcella Detroit, and they fell out spectacularly after the album came out. Court cases, I think. I mean, they've come back together. They did an album, I think, last year or 2018. Yeah, but it was a spectacular falling out they did. But it's a good album, actually. I'm pleased to pick this up. Released on the label. Band that I was fond of, I saw a few years ago. I'm glad they're back together, though I can't get a ticket to see them. I brought the new Supergrass compilation, which is the Strange Ones 1994 to 2008, and you can see the cover. The cover is basically a mishmash of all the album covers, and what they've done with this, they've done it from, even though it says 1994 to 2008, in fact really the track listing is going from 2008 to 1994. I saw them on the last tour, and they played Diamond at Hoo Ha Man, which I loved. Bad Blood. Yeah, I'm looking forward to spinning. I haven't played this yet. I'm looking forward to spinning it. I did, and the reason I took the plunge, I did have a listen to it. Streamed it. Supergrass, one of the better Britpop bands, and in fact they come back together and touring. Yeah, I've got a soft spot for them. They're one of the best. They certain bands of that ilk, when you have a movement, some bands don't know how to carry on. They get the initial surge on the back of it and sort of struggle what to do next. This lot, no, they had something they could carry it on. And final album, I am pleased to find this. This is the Roy Wood story. I think this guy, Roy Wood, is criminally underrated when it comes to impact on British music. And as it says, it's this story basically from Mike Sheridan's Lot, which was his first band, to The Move, then to Wizard, a couple of ELO songs on there, and then some from his solo stuff. Talented producer. So it's sort of sad that he's really reduced to sort of like coming out every Christmas to sing his Christmas song, because he's more than that. Was told, and I don't know if it's true or not, that he gets 8% of his royalties from radio plays in December for "I Wish It Could Be Christmas Every Day." That to me is sad, because he's one of the great artists. Birmingham, but lad, I think he's from Shard End, but absolutely Kitts Green. It might be Shard End or Kitts Green. I'm not sure, but I want just great artist. If you go and get one, dig out Roy Wood. If you can see a copy of this, go and get that. And there you go, VC. God, it's 25 minutes. Blimey. Need to plan these better. So there you go. That's really my January haul. I hope whatever you get up to today is going to be a good one. I suspect in the UK the weather's going to impinge on a few things. As for the channel, if you like what you see, click on the subscribe button, especially if you're new to the channel. Thumbs up, thumbs down, love the interaction. And feel free to leave a comment. I'll always get back to you. As I say, I'm going to have a bit of a quiet day today. I'm still a bit tired. It was a long day yesterday. So, whatever you get up to, VC, take care of yourselves, keep spinning, more importantly, keep smiling.